Our attention is going to turn to transfer speculation. And in the last 48 hours or so, it seems, although it's not been confirmed, there's a little more meat to the bone now that Trent Alexander-Arnold will be playing his football in Spain with Real Madrid next season alongside Jude Bellingham. To talk about a Liverpool fullback now, let's speak to a former Liverpool fullback of the past. Stevie Nicol, is this something that was always in your mind going to be a case of when rather than if, or did you hold out hope that maybe, just maybe, Trent would sign a new deal to stay at Anfield?
I mean, let's be honest, it was the worst kept secret that he was going to Real Madrid. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to fall off their chair when they hear this. It was always bang on. And I never really felt at any stage that Trent was going to stay. And I'm not surprised he's going to Real Madrid. I mean, you know, I think Real Madrid's the perfect place for him, quite frankly. You know, Real Madrid's a team that wants to go forward. They want to create. You know, they want to score goals, and this guy fits all the criteria. You know, yes, he has issues defensively, but Ancelotti, or if it's Alonso, will do what Klopp did and do what Slot did, and figure a way of covering those deficiencies, because what he's going to give Real Madrid going forward is just going to be, well, I'll be surprised if it's anything less than sensational, because that's what he is with the ball at his feet going forward. He can pick a pass, he can score a goal. I mean, his free kicks are dynamite. I mean, it's going to be great at Real Madrid. We'll all be fighting to see who can take the free kick. But I mean, it's not a surprise. I think it's the perfect move. Listen, let's put it this way. If Trent Alexander was going to go to Wolves or somebody like that, then it would be a complete and utter disaster, right?
And a shock.
And a surprise as well, yeah. And the money wouldn't be as good. But the fact is, Real Madrid, a team that are going to dominate the majority of games they play in, they're going to have possession. It just makes complete sense for the talents that Trent Alexander-Arnold has.
I just wonder who's doing the tracking back when Trent gets forward, given the start to the season that Real Madrid had. By the way, for Liverpool, is Conor Bradley the ready-made replacement, or do you think they need to go out and kind of add in that and strengthen that area if he goes?
No, I think Conor Bradley's done enough in the last couple of seasons that he deserves to be given that spot. And then it's up to him to show his consistency. I mean, he pretty much has done in the games he's played. The one thing I would say is that Conor Bradley's missed quite a lot of games in the last couple of years. Now, I don't know whether that's just the adjustment to playing more at the highest level. But that would be my only concern. In terms of talent, absolutely, I think he can take Trent's place.
LME, let's move not far away from Liverpool to Manchester, and the Manchester Evening News, along with ESPN FC, reporting that between 10 and 12 players could potentially leave Manchester United in the summer. You're talking Rashford and Casemiro, you're talking Evans and Heaton retiring, Eriksen, Lindelof, Anthony, who's now with Betis, Jadon Sancho, that Chelsea thing, Bayindir, Malacia, Shaw, and Zirkzee. It's much needed, but for those that aren't out of contract in the summer, how difficult could it be for Manchester United to move on the players that they want to, but maybe can't because they still have contracts to run?
Yeah, contracts that are very high in wages. And I think that's the difficulty as well. I think that's going to be the trouble there, because it's not going to be a Ruben Amorim problem. It's just a problem with the board for giving this much of a contract to so many players. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I mean, personally, as an Aston Villa fan, I would love Marcus Rashford to stay with us permanently just because of what he's doing. But that contract is absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, it's going to be intriguing. Look, as soon as Ruben Amorim came to Manchester United, it was very clear here that a revolution was going to happen, whether it was in progressively from, you know, January transfer window or in this summer. And this is what you're seeing. So I'm not surprised. The issue, as you mentioned, is going to be the finances and making sure that all these players that are on ridiculous wages go somewhere else, and also in a timely manner, because, you know, it's going to be tricky to do all of this with also in the environment of sustainability rules as well, and making sure that United bring in as much as they take out, or the other way around. So it's going to be tricky for them. But all those names that you mentioned, I'm not surprised. In fact, I'm actually kind of shocked it's only 10 or 11 or 12 players, because I know that Amorim wants a complete revolution in the summer. It's going to be a very interesting window summer for Manchester United, not to mention that they're also coming here for the Premier League Summer Series. So there's a lot to do there. But yep, the Amorim revolution is coming. Whether it happens completely, just like of all these wish list people, we'll have to find out.
Stevie, as someone who's been in charge of football clubs and maybe had to do some moving on and bringing in, what's the kind of time frame that Manchester United are looking at here and Ruben Amorim is looking at to get what he wants? Because it ain't no quick fix, is it?
My goodness. Do you know, I couldn't answer that off the top of my head, because unfortunately for United, they find themselves in a position where it's out of their hands. They need to sell players. And if nobody wants the players, then they can't do anything. I mean, it really is that bad for them. It's not a case of, look, here you go, there's a little, not the biggest pot of gold I can give you, but there's a little pot of gold. Go and get some players to make us better, and I'll try and move the rest of these guys on. That's not the case. It's, you have to move players first. And let's be honest, there are not many Manchester United players that they want to move on that other people are desperate to get, particularly at the wages they're on. And so they're on a hiding to nothing. It's a great idea, getting rid of 10 players.
Yeah.
Who's taking them? And what are you going to do when you can't get rid of them? You're snookered. I mean, but I can't see any way, regardless of what Rashford does between now and the end of the season, that Aston Villa are going to turn around and take up that contract and pay money for him. I mean,
they can't afford it.
But particularly after they tried to do that with Coutinho when they signed him.
Yeah. And
it was a complete and utter bust. So I think they'll be a little worried about that, and they'll be thinking about that. But they're not taking that contract on. And so not only are you trying to get rid, you're actually getting some back. Because Jadon Sancho, if Chelsea send them back, they actually have to pay them $5 million.
Yeah.
Which is mental. But oh my goodness, how many windows? When you need a whole squad, I mean, take a guess. 5, 6 windows?
You might actually need a window, not to bring players in, but to use money to pay players off. To get them to leave.
It's just such a mess they've got themselves in.
Well, they'll have to find a way out of that. I want to end with one player in particular, and I was doing a little bit digging, Alexander-Isak of Newcastle. 6-year deal that he signed in 2022 for 63 million. I've had one or two of kind of gone back and forward with Arsenal fans for stuff that we've said on here. Of course, Arsenal's a step up from Newcastle. Well, that's arguable. That's debatable. For Alexander-Isak, what's his value and who can afford him? But LME, where's a step up from Newcastle that he would be interested in going to? Because while Arsenal might be a step up, according to Arsenal fans, it's probably more of a sidestep and just a little bit up. Is he looking at a Barcelona or a Real Madrid now and pretty much that's it? Or is he looking for a Manchester City? What do you think Alexander-Isak's next move might be if he decides at Newcastle, okay, I've done my bit here, I want to move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's also dependent whether Newcastle, aside from obviously winning the Carabao Cup, but getting a Champions League spot and keeping them happy, because I'm imagining, especially in a year where, precedes the World Cup, Isak wants to be playing the very best possible in the best possible competitions. So a lot depends if Newcastle get that 4th or 5th spot, aside from the Carabao Cup, even though they're playing in Europe anyway. So Isak is, in my opinion, at this moment, top 3, best strikers in Europe right now. He is unbelievable. And I think that his value right now, I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at numbers between 120 and 150 million. There's reports of Barcelona being interested, but I have no, we're talking about Manchester United and finances. I have no idea how Barcelona are going to afford that one. But I think that's the scope of where he's aiming at. Arsenal may very well be a step up if they indeed have Champions League football next season, which is obviously what they're going to do. But it's also about a player's happiness. What does he want? How does he feel within a club and how he's represented? And everything that Isak has said is he's very happy at Newcastle. and he loves to play there. But I do think that Champions League football will be a big factor here, and also the value, because there is no way in the world that Isak is going to leave for anything less than 100 or 120 million. He's one of the best strikers in Europe right now.
Stevie, last question to you about Alexander Isak. We've spoken a lot about Arsenal and signing a striker. Is it now the case that Arsenal, when they sign a striker, have to sign a statement striker, make a statement of intent? And would Alexander Isak, if Arsenal met what Newcastle were looking for a transfer fee and met what Alexander Isak was looking for in personal terms, is that something that might be an option? Or, as I said to LME, is it a Real Madrid or a Barcelona? Is it top level now that he's looking at?
Yeah, there's not a team on the planet that Isak wouldn't play at. I mean, there's just not. He's that good. He's absolutely one of the best in Europe. And if you have any ambition, or certainly if you have the highest ambitions to win Champions League, then if he's available, then you have to sign him, and it's going to be the going rate. As far as Arsenal's concerned, absolutely it would make a difference. You know, the amount of games that they've drawn or ended up losing because they're short of 20 goals from the centre forward. I mean, that is the difference that somebody like Isak would make. He would absolutely put Arsenal up there as favourites to win the Premier League next season if they signed him during the summer. I don't think there's any argument with that. But what will Arsenal do? Again, I don't think Isak's going anywhere. I don't think Newcastle will be selling him. And there's very few strikers around. Maybe they can get Alex of an Osimhen, but I'm not so sure. So, yes, they need a statement striker. I definitely agree with that. Is it going to happen? It's not very likely. I don't see it.